about, at the end, when we get to the end of this exhibit, it's just long, you'll be able to go right upstairs, and right above there is the Gallery Innovation that kind of really talk about innovation. But the reason why, as I said, we chose to focus on America's Motor City is that it kind of puts some historical context on it. And this is a big exhibit for us whenever we do school groups and school tours. And we always start out by saying to the kids that the automobile was not invented in Detroit. A lot of kids kind of come with that, thinking Henry Ford invented the automobile, and that's not true. In fact, I think Carl Benz in Germany had invented the first car, and there were several other automakers in Detroit that had working prototypes before Detroit had its first working prototype on the street. So that's kind of one of the first myths that we bust. So if Detroit wasn't the first automobile city, and if it didn't invent the car, why is Detroit the Motor City? And in this exhibit, if you came before, it's a lot of the same content, just reordered. And this over here is my favorite thing about this exhibit, because it talks about the Detroit factor. It's actually kind of an equation. What are the factors that came together that led to Detroit being a motor city? And these are what, after talking to a bunch of historians and hashing this all out, we came down to 4 key things that primed Detroit to become the Motor City. The first, manufacturing expertise. At the end of the 19th century, we were world famous. We were known as the national stove capital, not the Motor City, for all of the cast iron stoves we made. We also made railroad cars and ships, big, small ships. So we had all of that manufacturing expertise already in place here. Second, access to resources. I always joke in the war for Toledo, we lost Toledo, but we got the Upper Peninsula. Think we did all right there because that's where the natural resources are, and the lumber in the upper part of Michigan. So lumber, lumber, iron ore, copper ore, limestone, all of those things that are in Michigan really. And then an easy way to get them here through the Great Lakes on the ships. Super easy transportation. Third, access to capital. By the turn of the 20th century, Detroit had a lot of rich lumber barons, if you will, and other industry barons that had a lot of money and were able to invest in some of these upstart motor companies. But what we're really going to talk about today, and this is kind of like the key piece of the puzzle, is that Detroit also had innovative entrepreneurs. We had the personalities of the likes of Ransom Olds and Henry Ford and a whole host of others that we'll talk about, that were able to, instead of just taking a carriage and putting a motor on it, were always one step ahead and trying to think about how they could integrate all of their, make their processes more efficient. At this time after the horseless carriage, it was very expensive to build automobiles. They were cost prohibitive because they were all built by hand, and it was in Detroit where not just Henry Ford, but a lot of folks were trying to tinker with ways and come up with new ways to make cars affordable, and that's kind of the things that those 4 kind of led Detroit to be the Motor City. So I'm going to show you this little video that they created that kind of talks about the transformation